Hello again, everybody. So, I drew another card, and starting off tonight, this one is describe a typical day from your high school experience. Okay, 10 minutes or so on this. Typical day. Okay, first of all, let me start off by saying that when I went to school at two different high schools. I went to school at Knob Noster High School, and for those of you that don't know where that is, that's located about an hour's drive from Kansas City near Whiteman Air Force Base. Small town, very, very small town. And then my junior and senior year, I went to Warrensburg High School, which was a much better experience for me. And applying that knowledge now, I can say two different situations. So, describing a typical day from my high school experience. Okay, first of all, let me start off by saying I, believe it or not, was not a very popular person. I didn't have a lot of friends. There were some people that I kept in touch with and that I hung out with. I didn't really get good friends until I moved to my second school. So, starting with Knob Noster, I was fairly ostracized. I had just gotten here from Texas, and which was a whole nother box of rocks. But I had come here and to Knob Noster, and so a typical day would probably be have been me just trying to fit in. I tried to be witty. I tried to be funny. The only thing I could really fall back on is probably what a lot of you out there that do art know: drawing. That was about the only thing I really had, and I wasn't very good at it. I was a little lazy at it, but right around that time, so a typical day would be me just trying to find people that I could relate to, that I could be around, and I really did try a lot, to the point of being a try hard. That I just wanted to, I wanted that moment where there would be people that wanted me to hang around with them, and over time it became one of those situations where, because I was trying so hard, I was just insufferable to be around. It was a very odd and ostracizing and lonely time for me, especially when I was going to school in Knob Noster. Well, around that time, my dad had decided that it wasn't even so much a decision on his part. We were a military family, so my father didn't have another slot opening up at Whiteman where he could keep on going. He got out of the military after 28 and a half years, and so he ended up retiring. But they didn't want to stay in Knob Noster because we had been living on base. So he moved to Warrensburg, which is 10 miles away. And when we moved over there, I had to switch schools. And I was dead set. I was adamant that I was going to hate Warrensburg. I couldn't believe it. And it's really strange. I was going through a really weird mental zone because even though I really didn't have a lot of fun, or really, I liked some of the teachers and stuff in Knob Noster, I was dead set on against change, man, and I to this day I am still dragged into change, kicking and screaming. So a typical day in Warrensburg ended up being a lot better. I ended up hanging out with, well, first of all, my first typical days in Warrensburg were still lonely, still trying to find my feet, and find where I fit in the overall social cast. But it's also where I discovered Dungeons and Dragons. It's also where I discovered a lot of fantasy books, especially the Dragonlance series. So, and that was because of some really good friends I had at the time: Chris Trotter, David Miller, Ray Brules, Andy Mahon, a lot of guys that I just started getting to know at that time. And because of those guys, I started hanging out more at comic shops, the local arcade, Token Joe's, places like that. So a typical day in school in Warrensburg was a lot better. It was fundamentally everything I had been missing and didn't realize it. I didn't even know that was a part of me. I mean, I'd always kind of grown up a little bit nerdy, a little bit geeky, but not really super hobby driven. And so every single day that I did go to school, sure, there were times, I got picked on by people in Votech, or, I was lazy. I didn't really do very well. I think I graduated third to the last in my class. Academically, I wasn't doing real great. I did enjoy my classes. I was still very awkward. I was still a very strange child. Not much has changed. And so it's really weird. And So just so you know, I had picked this card up earlier and I looked at it. I was sort of dreading this one because high school was never, and I imagine a lot of you probably have similar avenues of thought on this, but man, high school for me was just not the greatest thing in the world. Even as much fun as my junior and senior year ended up being, because I ended up finding good people that to this day I'm still in touch with all of them, or the majority of them, that is, and we still have a lot of similar interests in and everything. I found that I had been kind of holding a lot of that stuff internally, and I didn't realize how much it was messing me up. And it suddenly came out. It was like this floodgate that hit me. For about 30 minutes, I was just thinking to myself, like, "Holy crap, man! That's something." And I guess it's just because so much time has gone by since then. You don't really. I think most people try to put it in the past and just leave it alone, because I mean, why dwell on things that happened? Sometimes it comes up, and you'll have moments in new jobs or whatever that they kind of reignite these things. But yeah, I don't know that I actually had necessarily a typical day that could be attributed to either one. I don't know what a typical day was, because it seemed every single day things were at least changing to some degree. I was the tumultuous aspect. I was the weird variable in there that didn't really let things normalize, because I didn't really know how to interact with people, and I had a lot of different issues that from a social aspect I wasn't able to overcome very well. So, but I can say that that the typical days did get better in the last 2 years of school, and I went through 2 high schools. So I mean, that's never fun. That's never fun being the new kid in school. That's never fun trying to figure out, because you're already insecure anyway. I mean, that's the days of acne. That's the days of not really knowing how to dress. I could never tight roll my jeans right. Yeah, I just wasn't in. And no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't fun. So anyway, that's tonight's thing. It was between this one and then there was another one that I almost picked up, but I'm going to leave that one for later. This has really been kind of fun, just randomly picking these so far. I say that, and the rest of these could be hell. So anyway, thanks for listening, and for listening to my little story there. I'm trying, again, to keep these really short, so that way I'm not dragging on and on and on with this stuff. So thanks again for watching and for listening to my story about my 2 different high schools. And I will be back with another card and another entry. Till then, see you guys later.